Hi, Peter Charles here, Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and today we're going to tie a CDC emerger. Now, I already have one video on this style of fly, but it was done using pheasant tail. This one is done using dubbing, and it comes out of the Fly Tying Bible book. So, let's get started and looking at the materials. I'm going to use this size 16 Tiemco 200R. You can do this fly anywhere from a 14 to a 20. We're going to use this nice olive 60-knot Veevus thread. We're going to use a blue-winged olive dubbing. This is like a artificial dubbing, like an Antron. And we're using gray CDC feathers for the tail and the wing. So let's get going. Now when you tie in the tail, we're going to use a CDC feather, and you want one with long barbs to make this job easy. You don't want to start with really tiny barbs and start to fight them. You know, take off a good clump of barbs. Now as far as tail length is concerned, I've left these rather long. You can tie them shorter if you wish. It depends on how you want this fly to look. Something to keep in mind we haven't talked about already, but something to keep in mind is this is really a generic style for doing an emerger. You can do it in any color scheme you like. You can do it small or large. It really doesn't matter. There's a lot of choice with this particular fly. Okay, now for the dubbing. Okay, stop it about there, about roughly halfway, because now we have to tie in our CDC wing case. So what we do with that is I pull these forward. We're going to tie them in by the tip. So try to get a good clump of it in, a couple of loose wraps, and then just pull. Get some tight wraps in there. And just come in and trim this off. Now we add a little bit more dubbing. Now curl this over. Put a couple of wraps in there, straighten it up. And that's what you want to look for, is to have that nice bulging body behind the thorax. And now you can come in and trim off the waist, make sure it's sitting correctly, and bind it in tightly. And finally we whip finish. Okay, there's our CDC emerger. You want a good substantial wing case on this because it's going to have to support this fly. There's no hackle that's going to help keep it up. The other thing too is the amount of wing case that you use. I call it a wing case, but really if you ever see pictures of these insects emerging, they kind of hump up their body and they're just coming out, you know, the head and the tail, or the head and the body I should say, is coming out together, making this U-shaped hump as they leave the shuck. So that is more than just a wing. It's imitating the entire body coming out. So, and you want a substantial amount so it will stay up and stay right in the surface film, because you want the that part of the that hump to be just at the surface film. The rest of the fly can actually be underneath the water, and it'll work just fine. Because if you've ever actually seen an emergence, the body of the insect, the nymph, never gets through the surface film. It's the adult that pops through the surface film. The nymph never actually goes through. So if the body of this fly stays just underneath the surface film, is perfect positioning. So give it a try, the CDC emerger. Keep in mind that you can do this in a variety of colors. You're not stuck with olive and dun like I'm using here, Blue Dun. This is the color of the large blue-winged olives that come off in the springtime on my local river. So that's what I tied this one for. But I mean, you've got a lot of choice. There's a lot of different mayflies coming off in the spring. You can tie this particular fly in any size or color scheme that's going to work for the emergers that are coming off at that moment. So give the CDC a try. I've done CDC emerger in the past for pheasant tail. Worked like a charm. Fish loved it. They'll love this one too. Cheers.